What are some of the greatest FUs in history? Tolkien was in negotiations to sell The Hobbit in Germany. The Nazis were in power, but World War II hadn't started yet. The German publisher asked him to provide proof that he was Aryan. This was his response, with emphasis by me. 20, Northmoor Road, Oxford. Dear Sirs, thank you for your letter. I regret that I am not clear as to what you intend by Irish. I am not of Aryan extraction, that is Indo-Iranian. As far as I am aware, none of my ancestors spoke Hindustani, Persian, Gypsy, or any related dialects. But if I am to understand that you are inquiring whether I am of Jewish origin, I can only reply that I regret that I appear to have no ancestors of that gifted people. My great-great-grandfather came to England in the 18th century from Germany. The main part of my descent is therefore purely English, and I am an English subject, which should be sufficient. I have been accustomed, nonetheless, to regard my German name with pride, and continued to do so throughout the period of the late regrettable war, in which I served in the English army. I cannot, however, forbear to comment that if impertinent and irrelevant inquiries of this sort are to become the rule in matters of literature, then the time is not far distant when a German name will no longer be a source of pride. Your inquiry is doubtless made in order to comply with the laws of your own country, but that this should be held to apply to the subjects of another state would be improper, even if it had, as it has not, any bearing whatsoever on the merits of my work or its sustainability for publication, of which you appear to have satisfied yourselves without reference to my abstamming. I trust you will find this reply satisfactory, and remain yours faithfully, J.R.R. Tolkien. In 1962, a wealthy Italian businessman arranged a meeting with Enzo Ferrari to discuss his displeasure with the famous luxury sports cars. His chief complaint was that the clutches didn't seem to hold up well. Ferrari responded, "The clutch is not the problem. The problem is you don't know how to drive a Ferrari, and you break the clutch." The businessman, who founded and owned a successful tractor manufacturer, knew a thing or two about vehicles. He was incensed at the reply, and not only promised to never buy another Ferrari, but to begin building his own supercars to show Ferrari how it was done. And today, the cars of Ferruccio Lamborghini are famous worldwide. Joan of Arc's trial was known to be tedious as the church tried their hardest to find grounds for a conviction. In an attempt to trick her, she was asked whether she knew if she was in God's grace. Since the church believed no one was able to know if they were truly in God's grace, either a yes or no could be condemnable. She responded by saying, "If I am not, may God put me there, and if I am, may God so keep me." Reports on the trial say that the court was stupefied by her deft answer. It was basically a mic drop in the face of the church at the hands of what they saw as an illiterate and heretic farm girl. I've always been fond of the exchange between John Montagu and John Wilkes, both British politicians in the 18th century. Montagu was also the 4th Earl of Sandwich, the namesake and possibly inventor of the sandwich. During one of their many verbal battles, Montagu reportedly spat at Wilkes and said, "Upon my soul, Wilkes, I do not know whether you will die on the gallows or of the pox." Wilkes replied, "That depends, my lord, on whether I embrace your principles or your mistress." Betty Davis, who had a decades-long feud with Joan Crawford that lasted right up to the bitter end, was quoted upon first hearing of her rival's death. "You should never say bad things about the dead, you should only say good. Joan Crawford is dead." Good. Minnesota took a flag from Virginia during the Battle of Gettysburg in the American Civil War. Since then, Virginia keeps asking for it back, saying that it's their heritage. This is my favorite rebuttal. In 2000, when Virginia legislators requested the Southern Cross flag once again, Governor Jesse Ventura said, "Why? We won. We took it. That makes it our heritage." Upon being handed his death warrant, the Marquis de Favres quipped, "I see that you have made 3 spelling mistakes." When France was invaded during WW2, they cut the lines to the elevator up the Eiffel Tower, so when the Nazis went to put their flag on OT, they had to take the stairs all the way up. King Philip II of Macedon sent a note to ancient Sparta saying, "You are advised to submit without further delay, for if I bring my army into your land, I will destroy your farms, slay your people, and raze your city." Ancient Sparta replied to King Philip's threat, if John Paul Jones when, in a naval battle that he appeared to be losing, the British called for him to strike his colors, surrender. He replied with, I have not yet begun to fight. He won, and sailed both ships home. More on the tame end, but in the 70s Russia's record label was pressuring them to not make any more albums with long rock operas because it would kill sales. They went ahead and made another album where one side of the vinyl was a 20-minute song, and it ended up being their biggest seller at that point in time. 50 Cent bought 200 front-row tickets to one of Ja Rule's concerts in 2018 and left the seats empty in response to something Ja said on Twitter. Plato once said that a man was a featherless biped, and Diogenes, being the clever asshole he was, brought him a plucked chicken, exclaiming, "Behold, a man." That's all for today. If you want to hear more hilarious, scary, devastating, jaw-dropping, heartwarming, amazing Reddit content, like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for more content. Thanks and have a great day.